Beta, a lot of you are having problem in completing the square. Please remember this little, you know, uh, chota sa trick to write anything in completed square form. Big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the constant. अब इसको अप्लाई कैसे करना है ज़रा देखो. I'll do a few examples with you and hopefully you should understand. ठीक है, और फिर you should be able to write any expression in completed square form. ठीक है. But let's say we have x squared minus 6x plus 10. Okay. I want to write it in completed square form. मैंने कहा जी कि आप big bracket square minus small bracket square plus constant कर दें. So literally what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a big bracket, put a square on top of it, then I'm going to minus. It's always a minus. मैंने यहाँ पे minus लिखा है. There is always a minus. And then I'll open up a small bracket, I'll put a square on it, and n पे जो constant होता है उसको as it is. वो plus है तो plus कर दो, minus है तो minus कर दो. This is a plus 10, I'll write a plus 10 here. ठीक है. Now, what I want to do is I want to write an x always in the big bracket. एक यहाँ से बेटा x आ जाएगा और एक ये वाला साइन आ जाएगा हमेशा. If it's a minus, it'll be a minus in the bracket. If it's a plus, it'll be a plus in the bracket. Then what you want to do is you want to halve this number, the number with x. You want to halve it. 6 ka half is 3. I'll put a 3 here and I'll put a 3 here. That's it. That's my complete square form done. ठीक है? Up, obviously I have to simplify a bit, so it'll be x minus 3 whole squared. Minus 3 minus 3 squared is a minus 9 and then a plus 10. So we get x minus 3 whole squared minus 1, plus 1, sorry. Okay, that's your completed square form. एक और एग्जांपल देखते हैं अगर अभी समझ नहीं आई तो. देखो x squared plus 12x minus 10, let's just say. I said open up a big bracket, square it, minus small bracket, square it, n वाला constant as it is copy down कर लें, minus 10. Big bracket में क्या आ जाएगा? In the big bracket, the first thing is always x, the second thing is always this sign, and then it's the half of this number. So 6 here and 6 here. दोनों brackets में 6 लिखना है, and then you just simplify. So x plus 6 whole squared minus 36 minus 10. That leaves you with x plus 6 whole squared minus 46. That's it. That's the final answer. एक और example देखते हैं. If I have, let's say, x squared plus 7x plus 5. Big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the constant. Constant ये वाला as it is. Big bracket में the first thing is always an x. Put an x and then put this sign. So plus. अब क्या करना है इस नंबर का हाफ. 7 का हाफ क्या होता है? 3.5. कोई बात नहीं, डेसिमल लिखते हैं, कोई बात नहीं. 3.5 यहाँ पे भी लिखते हैं 3.5. Then you get x plus 3.5 whole squared minus 3.5 का square is 12.25 plus a 5. When you simplify it, you get x plus 3.5 whole squared minus 7.25. That's it. That's the answer. ठीक है? Then, another example. Let's say you have x squared minus 14x plus 4. Big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the constant. Plus the constant. ये वाला 4 आ गया. Big bracket में the first thing is always x. Second thing is this sign. Then we halve this number and put it in both the brackets. 7, 7. ये बन गया मेरा बेटा x minus 7 whole squared minus 49 plus 4. Simplify it. X minus 7 whole squared minus 45. That's it. Happy days. Let's do another example. Mera beta, let's say you have now x squared plus, let's just say 13x minus 5. Okay. तो आप big bracket square minus small bracket square minus 5 as it is. नोटिस करते जाओ ब्रैकेट्स के दरमियान में ये साइन हमेशा माइनस है, विदाउट एक्सेप्शन. विदाउट एक्सेप्शन ये माइनस है. ठीक है. फर्स्ट ब्रैकेट की फर्स्ट थिंग इज ऑलवेज एक्स, देन दिस साइन, देन द हाफ ऑफ this number which is 6.5, and then write a 6.5 here, and you get x plus 6.5 whole squared minus whatever is the square of 6.5, and then you take away 5 from it, और फिर उनको कलेक्ट कर लो. ठीक है. Now let's say you have something else written with x squared. Let's say कुछ ऐसा example आ गया minus 20. ठीक है. Now what you want to do is since x square अकेला नहीं है. You can only do the big bracket square minus small bracket square if x square has nothing behind it. If it has some other constant, some other coefficient basically, यहाँ पे आप देखो x square के साथ 2 लगा हुआ है. Beta, the first thing you want to do is you want to get rid of the 2. And to get rid of the 2, you want to write the 2 out common. आप एक इसको स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट कहते हैं टेक्निकली. आप एक स्क्वायर ब्रैकेट खोलें एंड व्हाट you'll be left with inside would be x squared, 6x, and minus 10. So when you take the 2 out common, you're left with x squared plus 6x minus 10. Please bear in mind, abhi tak I haven't started anything related to completing the square. I've only taken the 2 out common as far as this example is concerned. ठीक है, इस एग्जाम्पल में सिर्फ हमने 2 कॉमन लिया है. अंदर x square 6x, ये 6x अगेन वो हाफ उस वजह से नहीं हुआ जो हम कंप्लीटिंग द स्क्वायर करते हैं. दिस 6x, दिस 12x has turned into a 6x only because we took a 2 out common. Okay, and then the 20 has turned into a 10. Now what you want to do is you want to keep the 2 as is, you want to keep these blue brackets as is, and inside imagine this as any normal question जैसे हमने पीछे सारे किए. इस सारे के लिए what I'd do is I'd open up a big bracket squared minus a small bracket squared, and then I'll carry down the negative 10 as it is. ये करके now we know के big bracket के अंदर क्या आ जाता है. The first thing in the big bracket is always x. The second thing in the big bracket is always this sign, so plus, and then we always put the half of this number जो x के साथ वाला नंबर होता है उसको हाफ करके यहाँ पे भी 3 डाल देंगे और यहाँ पे भी 3 डाल देंगे. Now the 2 and the blue bracket is still as is. Inside the blue bracket I have an x plus 3 whole squared going on. I have a minus 9 and I have a minus 10. What I want to do then is I want to keep the 2 as is still, the blue bracket as is still, and this would be x plus 3 whole squared minus 19. And eventually, now be very careful, beta ye 2 is outside the blue bracket, and both of these terms are inside the blue bracket, which means this 2 needs to get multiplied with this bracket as well as with the negative 19. So what you want to do for this one is multiply the 2, write the 2 और उसके साथ ये ब्रैकेट लिख दो और स्क्वायर लगा दो. ये 2 इस ब्रैकेट के अंदर नहीं जा सकता, so I'll just have to, I'm bound to just keep it here and not multiply it inside because there's a square on this bracket. So this 2 has to stay here to show that it is being multiplied with this bracket. But as for the 19 is concerned, 2 times negative 19, you make it negative 38. This is your final answer for these types of problems. ठीक है, तो जब भी x स्क्वायर के साथ कुछ लगा होगा, पहला काम ये करना है कि उस चीज़ को कॉमन ले लो. Once you've taken that out common, inside the square bracket, you would be left with the normal expression which you can use, write in computer square form using the big bracket square minus small bracket square minus the constant. Once you've done everything, you are then bound to also get rid of this blue bracket. इसमें नहीं छोड़ देना, ऐसा नहीं छोड़ना 2 times x plus 3 whole square minus 19. You need to get rid of this blue bracket because this is only for the working. अब final answer के अंदर when I get rid of the blue bracket, I have to multiply this 2 with this bracket and the negative 19. 2 can't get inside this bracket, so I just keep it outside the bracket. But 2 can be multiplied by the minus 19. You make it a minus 38. That's the final answer for this one. Now, if you were to maybe solve a quadratic equation, by the way, बहुत rare है कि कभी आपसे कहे कि completed square form use करके quadratic equation को solve करो. But if it ever shows up, please understand how it works. Let's say I had x squared minus 6x plus 8 is equal to 0. So please understand that whenever you're solving an equation, it has to have an equal to 0. अगर ये equal to 0 नहीं है तो फिर वो expression है और आपने उसको solve नहीं करना. अगर equal to 0 है, only then you solve it. So beta, then if it specifically says solve using completing the square, तो मेरा बेटा सिर्फ तभी करना है, अदरवाइज नहीं करना completing the square. Otherwise use the quadratic formula or use middle term breaking. ठीक है, but here since we're trying to learn completing the square, we do it using that. Completing the square के लिए यहाँ पे for this I'd simply do big bracket square minus small bracket square. So big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the 8 as it is. Okay. In the big bracket, first thing is always x. So x minus, then we have, ये minus कहाँ से आया, ये वाला minus है, ठीक है. इस number का half always goes in this bracket as well as this bracket. So we have x minus 3 whole squared minus 9 plus 8, and there was also equal to 0 and equal to 0. So x minus 3 whole squared minus 1 is equal to 0. Now that you've written it in completed square form and you also have to solve it, तो बेटा देखें ये जो -1 है इसको हम ले जाते हैं दूसरी साइड पे. You'd have x minus 3 whole squared is equal to +1, क्योंकि इधर -1 था, उधर जाके +1 हो जाएगा. Now you square root both sides. When you do that, x minus 3 whole squared का square root and 1 का square root, this gets cancelled out. So you're left with x minus 3 is equal to a plus minus 1. Really important, because जब square root लेते हैं तो positive answer भी आता है और negative भी आता है. That means you'll now write x minus 3 equal to a +1, and you'll also write x minus 3 equal to a -1. From there, you'll get x as 4, and from here, you'll get x as -1 plus 3, that's a 2. These are your 2x values. इनको आपको डायरेक्ट फार्मूला से करते तो भी यही आंसर आना था, इनको आप मिडिल टर्म ब्रेकिंग से करते तो भी यही आंसर आना था, कंप्लीटिंग द स्क्वायर से भी यही आंसर आया, ठीक है. सो एज लॉन्ग एज यू डू एवरीथिंग करेक्टली, द मेथड विद विच यू सॉल्व अ क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन डजंट रियली मैटर, unless obviously it's specifically stated in the question, use this method to solve that equation. Completing the square is mostly tested for expressions जिसमें equal to 0 नहीं होता, इस तरह का कुछ होता है, and you have to write it in this form. So typically what the examiner does is he says write x squared minus 10x plus 4 in the form x plus b whole squared plus c. ठीक है, इस तरह का क्वेश्चन होता है. अब आप इसमें ना बी और सी के साइन को लेके भी आप लोग बहुत कंफ्यूज हो जाते हैं. सो यहाँ पे ज़रा ध्यान से देख लें प्लीज़. बेटा, when there's a bracket and there's a square on the bracket, that means you have to do completing the square. इसको इस फॉर्म में लिखने का मतलब है कि आपने completing the square करना है. And completing the square करने के लिए आंखें बंद करके big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the end वाला constant as it is कर देना है, as long as there's nothing behind the x square. x square के पीछे जब कुछ नहीं है तो eyes closed, big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the constant. ठीक है, कोई सोए हुए भी उठा के पूछेगा completing the square कैसे करते हैं, तो big bracket square minus small bracket square plus the constant. Okay, what goes in the big bracket? X is always the first term of the big bracket, minus इसलिए क्योंकि ये माइनस था, इस नंबर का half which is a 5, and a 5 comes here as well. You're left with x minus 5 whole squared minus 25 plus 4. Eventually, you're left with x minus 5 whole squared minus 21. उसने तो कहा था जी सर, उसने तो कहा था कि x प्लस बी होल स्क्वायर्ड प्लस सी कर दें. ओहो सर, ये तो माइनस आ रहा है. ओहो, दिस इज़ अ माइनस, दिस इज़ अ माइनस, उसने तो प्लस कहा था. बेटा, डजंट मैटर. यू जस्ट सी, if this was a plus b and this is a minus 5, आप सिर्फ कंपेयर करें इसको और लिखें b प्लस b है ना, तो इसलिए पॉजिटिव के साथ पीछे प्लस लिखने की ज़रूरत नहीं होती. b इज़ इक्वल टू what number do you have in place of b? It's a minus 5. So b is a minus 5. And these two guys, इधर से एक इक्वेशन बनाए तो c is a minus 21. So the value of b is -5 and the value of c is -21. Doesn't matter if the signs are opposite. Examiner अक्सर ऐसे लिखता है और signs opposite आते हैं. Get used to it. Okay? I hope you've understood. If you didn't, go back, दोबारा सुन लो, दोबारा देख लो. All the best for your test. Thank you.